What is up, everyone? It's Matt, your Aravaipa Virtual Race Director, and I'm here for another week of the Cocodona Virtual Experience. We're past the halfway point now. We are kicking off week 4 as we speak, and so I'm excited to kind of describe the course to you, walk you through that with a race flyover, or a course flyover here. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and dive straight into our leaderboard. And so, just taking a look at some of the standings here, you can see as of last week, I think Brenda Daly had already finished. So we've also got Hugh Hollerbach, who is now finished, Carla Moore, Mary Reed, Wayne Edgar Ramage, Phil Nimmo, and Andre have all finished. So that is, we've got 11 finishers already with still 2 weeks to go. So congratulations to all those folks who have already finished. And we've got a number of people who are closing in there. So we got Wayne Snyder at 239 miles, or Steve Snyder rather, sorry. We got Shody Austin at 217, Kim Marciano, Rod Sinclair. We got a bunch of people over that 200-mile mark already. 19 total participants have either finished or are over 200 miles. So what an incredible job. And again, still 2 weeks to go. Oh, and that's even better there. I apologize for not having my phone in landscape mode here, but there you go. You can see, let's see how many people have passed the 161 mark, which is where our week 3 ended. So Asia Niemain is at the 161 mark. So 47 people, are on track to kind of finish this thing out based on what we have been doing so far. And if you just take it as 5 weeks at 50 miles apiece, we've got even more people who are on pace. So a ton of people doing a lot of really great stuff, and hope you all are just enjoying this journey. And so now, before we get into Instagram here and taking a look at that, we're actually going to go ahead and go over kind of the course preview. So each week I do send out that weekly runner email, so a lot of the course is described in the body of that email. If you don't receive that email, just shoot me an email, matt@aravaiparunning.com, and I'll make sure that you get it. And in that email this week, I also did link to 2 of the live stream feeds that we had that kind of covers a big part of this section. So I know they're long. They were a lot of fun for us to kind of do. So if you've got some time and just want to see what people were experiencing on race day in this section of the course, definitely check those out. And again, those are linked in the runner email that was sent out last night. So let's go ahead and start the flyover here. And so again, we are going from Sedona to Cinder Pit, and Sedona is where we left off last time, right in the heart of Sedona at St. John Vianney Church. And so runners go back out basically the same way they came in. So runners kind of came in down that road and up that sidewalk, and then they start to meander back out into Red Rock country. And so you can see it's not perfectly flat. There is a little bit of rolling climbs through here, but not super, super difficult compared to what runners experienced in these sections prior. The one big thing through a lot of this section of the course is that it was hot. It was really hot for a lot of runners. So from Dead Horse Ranch State Park at mile 135 to Sedona was a really hot section, but then runners were able to, get some reprieve in the air-conditioned sleep rooms. They were able to recover and everything like that and cool themselves down, but then they had to get right back out into the heat. And so you can see the course just kind of meandering at kind of the feet of these beautiful red rocks, which is like another one of the benefits of this section of the course is, yeah, it was really hot, and that was, really tough for a lot of runners, but they still had, just some really magnificent and unique views, being on these, red clay trails that kind of just meander and surround the city, but also having, really, really big, wide, expansive views of all these incredible red rocks. And you can see here, runners do have a little bit of a climb here to get up just a little bit higher before the course continues to kind of wind and meander its way through the outskirts of Sedona. And I believe coming up here in a little bit, runners will be approaching the Huntley Tank Aid Station. So this stretch from Sedona Aid to Huntley Tank Aid is about 13 miles. So it is a fairly decent stretch in between aid stations here. But again, you're just engulfed in these beautiful red rocks with these incredible views. But it was a really hot stretch. You can see climbing up into the red rocks here a little bit is just adding a bit of difficulty. This stretch, I want to say, had just shy of 2,000 feet of gain, around 1,800 feet of gain in this 13-mile section, and about the same descent. So, again, not a super challenging stretch compared to some of the other stretches on the course, but definitely not like a flat, track essentially. So you add like all of the kind of rolling climbs and stuff to the heat, and it really made for just a tough stretch for a lot of these runners. But here you can start to see off into the distance, I believe, the Coconino Plateau off kind of the left of that right red rock there. I could be wrong, but that is the direction runners are heading, is towards the Coconino Plateau. And I'm going to see if we can speed this up just a little bit. Okay, we can't speed this up at all, but we are going to continue to make our way towards Huntley Tank.
I do have a question, though.
And there is a question in the chat here, so we will answer that.
Did anyone from the virtual race beat the winner of the live?
So someone asked, did anyone in the virtual race beat the winner of the in-person race? And no, they did not. However, I will say they were like decently close. I don't think anyone really tried to do that, to be perfectly honest. So we had, I think, both our top two runners, Katra Corbett and Rich Myers, I believe, finished the journey in 8 days, which, again, if they weren't running continuously, so they were going out, getting in a run or 2 runs or 3 runs in each day. And doing that over the course of basically a week, whereas the in-person runners were running nonstop. So I think it's more that we didn't have anyone really attempt to do something that crazy. But I think that we had a bunch of runners who were probably capable of running their 250-mile journey, faster than what they did. I think it's just a crazy endeavor. And so you can see we just reached that Huntley Tank Aid Station, which was the first aid station after Sedona, and then it's right back out into the trails, into the heat. And now you can definitely, you're starting to see less true red rock formation and more of like that Coconino Plateau, that rim to the plateau there. And so this, again, was another hot stretch. This stretch of the course, though, I think it's about a 7.5 mile stretch from the Huntley Tank Aid Station to the Black Tank Aid Station. And this stretch again was hot, but it was much flatter than the prior section. So I think this section only had maybe 600 feet of gain, and so you can see here it's a lot more runnable, but it is hot, and you are 175 miles or so into a run. So it's just because a trail is more runnable doesn't make it easier, you know. And one of the actual cool things, and this was noted in like the runner guide for in-person participants, is this is like a pretty big ATV or off-road vehicle area. So runners definitely had to kind of keep their eyes open for any sort of quad bikes or dirt bikes or stuff like that, because this is a pretty popular area, as Sedona typically is. Sedona is a pretty popular, like the greater Sedona area is a pretty popular like off-road vehicle, like jeeping type of place. And so it was noted that you can see these trails are quite a bit wider in a lot of sections, so runners did need to be on the lookout for ATVs. And again, you can see here, this is definitely just more of a flat, meandering trail that's going to lead runners to the Black Tank Aid Station. And the cool thing about the Black Tank Aid Station is it is kind of the last, the runner's last chance to get mentally prepared for the Kasner climb ahead, which is, one of the more monstrous climbs on the course that takes runners up from, the valley floor here, essentially, at about 4,500-ish feet, up onto the Coconino Plateau, topping out over 7,000 feet. So runners are starting to be able to see kind of that future climb in the distance as they approach Black Tank. And the Black Tank Aid Station is their last chance to get mentally prepared here. And there you can see it. We reached the Black Tank Aid Station. You can see where we've come from back at Sedona, and now you can see that we are slowly starting to climb as we approach the infamous Kasner climb. And you can see it right here, where runners in this next stretch here between Black Tank and Turkey Butte Aid Station are going to gain almost 4,000 feet in, I think, 12 miles or so. And a lot of it is this Kasner climb here. 12 switchbacks that bring runners up onto the Coconino Plateau. One of the things that made this race so interesting, and particularly this stretch of course, is how just geographically diverse it is. And so you can see the difference in terrain now that runners are, more up on the high point. You're going to start to notice that as we continue this journey, where we're now starting to get up into the Coconino National Forest, which is home to the world's largest continuous ponderosa pine forest. So you leave the hot and the heat and the red rocks of Sedona down at the bottom to climb this brutal climb, but it does give you some temperature reprieve, and you are able to kind of get into these into this kind of more dense pine forest in sections. So I think that while the climb was really, really tough, I think that a lot of runners were happy when they got to the top here, because they were able to not be in the heat. And it looks like there we go. So we're back at the Turkey Butte Aid Station. We lost it for a minute there, but we are back, and we're leaving Turkey Butte on our way to Cinder Pit, and I believe this is I believe it's like an 8 or a 10 mile stretch from Turkey Butte to Cinder Pit. I want to say Turkey Butte is around mile 196 or 198. But I could be off on that, so don't hold me to that. But you can see this is a much more runnable section, which again, I don't know that is good for runners. I think it just depends how you felt. But the one thing is it's not nearly as cold. And so if you were hitting this during the day, there was a huge reprieve from the heat. If you were starting to hit it like during the night, it was getting pretty cold up here. So One of the big things back at the past aid stations was for runners to make sure that they, had the necessary gear to be up on the high point here for nighttime, because it was going to get pretty cold. And you can see we are now entering the Cinder Pit aid station at mile 205, and that is kind of our course preview for this week. You can see we made it down from Red Rock Country in Sedona. Made it all the way from Red Rock Country in Sedona up to the high alpine areas of, not Flagstaff, but of the Cocodona Plateau. And it blows my mind, even living in Arizona and having seen a lot of sections of this course via, our race feeds or in person, just how geographically diverse some areas of this state really are. So it's one of the really cool things about the Cocodona 250 in person is, in a single day, runners are going from this like lowland, kind of desert-ish, hot environment up to more of a high alpine forest at, over 7,000 feet. So it's one of the things that really makes this race unique. And so now what we are going to do here, let me just get my phone ready. We are going to take a look at some of the most recent Instagram posts, and then we are going to announce the winners of last week's challenge. So let's go ahead and send it here. And so some of the more recent posts here, again, I apologize for kind of leaning over. Let's see here. We got Jeff Doshnall. Sorry if I mispronounced your name there, Jeff. Nice view of Moreau State Park. We've got Tom the Triplet Dad on another run. Little Walding Field. I'm not sure where this is, but big 17-mile run there. We've got Running to Paradise. Some views in Florida. Look at that. What an incredible sunset. Wow. That's beautiful. What else do we have here? Oh, here's one of my favorites that I saw. Lovely sunset run. This was at South Mountain, one of my favorite trails here in Phoenix. It's definitely something to be said about these desert sunsets. They're different. They're different out here. So love seeing a group of runners out at the Pima Canyon trailhead. Shout out to South Mountain. Again, one of my favorite places here in Phoenix. Looks like we've got a Golden Gate Bridge photo here. Love it. What else do we got? We got some city running here. Williamsburg Bridge for mile 105 from New York City. Shout out to New York City. And then, while I have the Instagram pulled up, we are going, last week's challenge was most scenic Instagram post. And you will win a prize. I will reach out to you, or I'll have our social media director reach out to you on Instagram. But we did select a winner, and it is Christy MT_406 out in Missoula, Montana. Love seeing the beautiful flowers blooming right alongside the tight dirt single track with the pines and the mountains off in the background. Beautiful, beautiful photo. We had a lot of really good photos here, but that is our winner. So Christy, we will reach out to you so that we can get your information for your Aravaipa prize pack that we'll be sending you. And then, let me bring it in studio here for a second while I pull this up. And so last week, our weekly challenge, our raffle for our weekly challenge, you had to run 57 or more miles, because that was last week's section of trail from Fain Ranch to Sedona, so the mile 104 aid station to mile 161. and you needed to comment your weekly mileage on this Instagram post. So I'm going to pull this back up. Here is the Instagram post. And so I am going to randomly select a winner here. And our winner is Jeff Dashnall. So Jeff, again, I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Jeff had a really good photo earlier that we pulled up on Instagram. He is the winner of this week's raffle. So Jeff, we will reach out to you as well to get your information so that we can get you your kind of swag, your Aravaipa swag pack out. And for this week's challenge, so to enter the weekly raffle, runners are going to need to basically just go out and do your runs. Once you've completed your runs for this week, enter your weekly mileage in an Instagram post just like this one. There will be a week 4 Instagram post just like that on our Aravaipa Virtual page. Enter your weekly mileage. Anyone who runs 44 miles or more this week will be entered into a raffle for an Aravaipa prize pack. So again, this is the shortest section of the course. So if you've still got miles left, definitely think this is one that can be open to a lot more people. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But all you got to do is we'll make sure we post. Basically, this video will be posted to the Aravaipa Virtual page in some manner, kind of like what we did last week. Just enter your weekly mileage down there, and we'll draw a random winner next week. And then, for this week's challenge, last week's challenge was most scenic Instagram post, right? Because we were starting to come into the Red Rocks of Sedona. Beautiful place. This week's weekly challenge is going to be the most time run. So the way you will do it is go out, get your run in. You will email me, matt@aravaiparunning.com, with your time run in hours and minutes. So, for instance, if you run 10.5 hours, you would send me 10 hours, 30 minutes, and then you need to send me some form of proof of this activity. So you could screenshot your Strava profile that shows your weekly time and distance. You could send me all of your runs individually, screenshots of them. You can send me a photo of your GPS watch platform, like your weekly mileage and time from there. But you will need to send me proof. So send me your time and hours and proof. Again, you can email that to matt@aravaiparunning.com. And the reason for this challenge, while it is a shorter stretch of only 44 miles, it was a little bit slower going of a stretch for most runners, between coming through Sedona and having all that heat to having to grind their way up the Kasner climb and onto the Cocodona Plateau. So that is the challenge for this week. Again, if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, matt@aravaiparunning.com, and that's going to do it for this week. I will see you all again next week at 10 a.m. on Monday, and keep up the good work. I'm enjoying following along, and I will see you all next week.